Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Fully Expressed. I'm Carla, your host, and today I'm going to be diving into quite a deep topic, something you've probably heard of, but perhaps you haven't yet explored, or you have, and maybe this is something that is going to allow you to explore that further. And so I'm talking today about the connection to your inner child and the healing effects of this and what is possible for you when you actually connect or reconnect to your inner child and heal anything that needs to be healed. So your inner child is is a part of you. It is a part of you when you were obviously a child, or even yourself as a younger version. It doesn't necessarily have to be a child, but generally, the reason that we say inner child is because we tend to carry experiences from when we were a child that perhaps have shaped our behaviors or our beliefs, and we tend to hold on to these as we go into our adult lives. And usually they continue to play out unconsciously because we potentially may be disconnected from our inner child. And the issue that this brings with it is that when we are disconnected from our inner child, we are allowing our mind and the narrative that our mind is creating to play out. And we are feeding our ego, which is driven or based on fear and doubt or comparisonitis, and really relies on external validation, or might seem to have this perception that it's not good enough, so it's always got to be better or perfect, or it's got to please everybody else. So this is the perception that the ego possibly takes on, or the identity that the ego takes on when we are not connected to our inner child. And hands up, any of you that have felt this way before, because my hand is going up, and I have definitely been there before. And this is why it is so important to honor and embrace your inner child and your connection to your inner child. And we'll go into some ways that we can do that. But before we do, I want to talk about my personal experience with my inner child, because over the last 4 to 6 weeks, I have been reconnecting with my inner child, and the difference and the shift and the things that are now coming into my world, into my reality, are things that I have been wanting to happen, to create, to come about, to manifest for almost 2 years, probably longer, but it is all of the things that I have wanted to welcome in. And it is just so incredible that through doing this work of connecting to my inner child and releasing some of these deeply suppressed childhood woundings and belief systems, that I have been able to completely unblock any barriers that were holding me back from actually receiving my true worth. So, this is what it comes down to. So, to paint the picture and to give you a little bit of insight and perspective, my experience started when I was doing a live energetic activation and meditation. And in this meditation, we were called to connect to our inner child. And in this particular instance, for some reason, I connected to my inner child, but I connected to a specific and particular trauma, emotional and sexual trauma. Excuse me while my throat starts to close up a little bit. It's not something that I have expressed vocally, but it's something I'm learning to own and not feel that I have to hide. So, as I was connecting to this experience, I was feeling obviously a lot of emotions and discomfort come up. And to give you a little bit of a backstory, my inner child had created a protective mechanism for me as a young girl. When I was 3 years old, I had leukemia. So from the age of 3 to 8 years old, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia and obviously now a cancer survivor, happy and healthy. But during this process of me actually having cancer and going through treatment as a young child, a young girl, at the time I created this protective mechanism because the pain or the trauma was too overwhelming. And so my response was to completely just disconnect and disassociate from any pain or any feeling in my body. And so I found it obviously difficult later on in life to connect, to feel, and I used to shut off my body from feeling anything, or I didn't understand my emotions. So it's only in the last couple of years that I have actually reconnected to my body, and I have been able to start to control my emotions and my nervous system. So, this particular experience brought up some really deep emotions of discomfort, of shame, of guilt, of suppression, and not feeling that I was safe enough to ever actually share this experience with others because I thought it was my fault. And so, through reconnecting to this experience and just allowing everything to come up to the surface was quite a ordeal, or quite a really big step for me. And I think it happened because I was finally able to hold whatever it was that needed to come up, and I can still feel a little bit of residue even as I'm talking to you. There we go. And so I sat with this for a couple of days, and I had booked myself in to do a breathwork session, breathwork group session. And I did this breathwork session. I went to this event and I was able to further connect into this experience and into this trauma and really start to have some compassion for myself and start to forgive myself for this experience and let myself know that it wasn't my fault. And during this breathwork session, I had the most incredible experience where I connected to my inner child and I was able to release these deep, deep, dark emotions of guilt, of shame, of anger and rage. I had so much rage that had to be released, and it came out in this session at the end when we were able to scream into a pillow. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it because it helped me to shift these emotions physically out of my body. And through shifting them out of my body, I was able to connect to my higher self in the same session. And it was really beautiful because she looked down on me and she was so proud of me. It was almost as though my higher self was looking down on me, and I felt as though I was my inner child, or I was my younger self in that particular experience. And she was looking down on me and letting me know how proud she was of me for being able to process this trauma. And I continued to feel amazing and I felt so at peace afterwards. And to continue my journey or my process of healing, I had also booked myself in for a workshop to reconnect to my sexual energy because as a result of me disconnecting from my body, I feel as though potentially I had also disconnected from my sexual energy to protect myself from this specific experience that had occurred when I was a child. And in connecting back to my sexual energy and going to this workshop, the Pleasure Portal, I think it was called, I discovered that I was holding a limiting belief that it was not safe for me to receive pleasure, obviously, as a result of this sexual incident. And at that time, I didn't really understand. Obviously, I understand on a surface level what that means, but potentially I was feeling numb or I wasn't really able to experience the full feeling of feeling pleasure. I was just feeling it on a surface level or potentially a physical level and not actually energetically in my body. And now that a few things have happened and I feel like I've had these energetic shifts and I can see the incredible, huge, amazing shifts and changes in the world around me and even within myself internally and also externally. So I started to let myself know, obviously, that it was safe for me to be able to receive pleasure. I started plugging into this belief. And in the process and through me plugging into this new belief and creating this new safety around being able to receive pleasure, and I think the operative word being received, because as soon as I started to plug into this, subconsciously I wasn't aware, but now I am. Everything started to shift. I was probably a week before my birthday, and I was able to have the most amazing experiences, connections with people I got visits from my friends and family in Adelaide. I had the most amazing birthday, post birthday, and on my birthday, I received I received two clients that booked into my Raw Wild and Free retreat. They paid me in full, which I am super, super, super grateful for. And it was just this unlimited amount of abundance, of gratefulness, of things that started to just happen automatically. The shift just happened, and it was like the flick of a switch where everything that I had been dreaming of and wanting just started to fall into my life, it just started to appear in my life, and has been happening ever since. And there's a little part of me that questioned. I actually said this to my friend on the weekend, and I said how amazing. I've had this like fantastic couple of weeks, and I feel like, maybe that's it. Maybe that's where it ends. And I am just calling myself out on this because this is an automatic program or default or whatever the narrative is around this. But it is some sort of belief system where potentially I feel that I am only able to have this level of good luck, of fortune, of abundance, of the ability to actually receive for a limited amount of time. Who else has ever felt like this before, where maybe things are going really, really well for you, and then all of a sudden they're not. All of a sudden things start to go downhill, and then you start to fall into this spiral of self doubt and lack of confidence or trust or belief in yourself. And we know that obviously that then creates a vibration level where it can be difficult to get out of. So, the thing that I want you to remember if this happens is to come back to your connection to yourself, your inner child, whatever it is that you need to come back to. Make sure that it is a coming back to a connection. Your inner child is a great way to, or a great thing to come back and connect to, because your inner child holds this level of, it's almost like it holds a level of purity where it is potentially, it is just curious and playful and creative and imaginative, and it doesn't necessarily have the the adult mind frame or mindset where it might potentially fall into, doubting, or might fall into the egoic mind where we start to live and act out of fear, or we start to forget who we are. We start to forget that we are these incredible spiritual beings in a physical body. And it starts to forget our magic and starts to look for validation externally because it is lacking internally. So when we start to lack connection to ourselves, we then start to seek it outside of ourselves. So the best way for you to come back into alignment, into a higher frequency where you are your most abundant, confident, incredible, authentic self is to come back to connection, come back into your your inner child. And through coming back into your inner child, you are able to release the attachment to your mind and to your ego. And some ways that this can happen is through you connecting into your body. So when you connect to your inner child, you are connecting back into your body. You are connecting back into your creativity, your curiosity, and your imagination. So your third eye. So you are connecting back into so many things other than just your inner child, because your body holds the key to be able to release. You're connecting back into your heart, where your inner child lives and resides within you. You are connecting back into your intuition, your third eye, your wisdom and your knowledge. And I think you are also connecting back into a part of your highest and your most authentic expression, which for me personally is what I'm doing right now. It is using my throat chakra, hence why it gets a little bit scratchy at times. But I am here and I am expressing this truth, this unveiling of knowledge and self realizations through my experience that I am happy and willing to share with you, because I think there's a little bit of gold in this message. And I hope that you receive a little gold nugget that will allow you to feel inspired to reconnect with your inner child and to really start to build a beautiful connection and relationship with, because your relationship with your inner child is your relationship with yourself. And the more that you can build this and create this, the stronger your connection will be to yourself. The better you'll feel, the less reactive you may feel, and hopefully you will start to reconnect to some practices that you potentially used to do. Think about some of the things that you used to do even as a child. I realized the other day that I used to sing in the school choir. And for some reason, I had created this, I had this thought pattern that I didn't like my voice. I didn't have a good voice. There was obviously some deeper beliefs in there. And for so long, I had always kept my voice hidden, and I had not really embraced my voice or not done as much singing as I would have liked to. And I realized how much I love singing. And I acknowledge that I don't have a performer's voice that you might know of, or that you might hear and think, oh, she's got a really amazing voice. But I have learned to love my voice as it is, and I've learned to embrace it and connect to it. And so now I find myself singing to myself for most of the day, singing and at the moment making a lot of weird sounds and noises, because I'm connecting and I'm reconnecting and remembering my ancient light language abilities. So for me, this is a really beautiful way to connect to my inner child and my silliness and my playfulness. And it makes me feel free, makes me feel really free. So before I wrap up, I want to share a couple of ways that you can connect to your inner child. The easiest way is probably through just sitting with your inner child and just opening up a dialogue with your inner child, just letting your inner child know that it's safe to come out, to be heard, to be seen. And you can explore this connection further in a deeper state of meditation. There are a lot of inner child meditations that are guided that are really good for connecting to this part of yourself. And you can also grab your journal. Excuse me. You can grab your journal and you can write a letter to your inner child. Write a letter to your inner child and just allow her to bare her soul and open her heart to how she is feeling. Maybe ask her some questions that you want to know. Ask her how you can connect to her. And ask her what she might need from you. What does she need in order to feel safe and seen? And what are some ways that she would love to connect with you? What are some things that she would like you to do and experience? You can connect to your inner child through connecting to your creative energy, connecting to a creative practice, maybe something that you used to do as a child. Maybe it is drawing or finger painting or singing or dancing or creating something, building something, something that allows you to connect into your creative energy. It could even be baking. Baking is something that kids love to do, and it is also a way for us to channel our creative energy. So when we connect to our creative side and our playful side, we are actually getting into the process of channeling energy. And this is what makes us feel so good because we are just in this beautiful flow of creativity, and we are also at the same time connecting to our feminine essence and our feminine energy because it is natural for us to create. So I invite you to really reflect on some creative practices and commit to a connection practice that allows you to create this connection with your inner child and to strengthen this connection to your inner child, because in doing so, it will allow you to unlock your inner magic, your inner wisdom, your inner unlimited potential of peace, happiness, abundance, creativity, whatever it is that you are wanting to create in your life, and really allow you to step into a more confident and creative, fun version of yourself where you can just let go. You can let go and be a kid again. So I hope that this helps you to build and create and strengthen this connection with yourself, with your inner child, with your creativity, and with your higher power. Sending you so much love and light, and I look forward to the next episode.